Today I want to explore an argument for showing the total gold score in League of Legends. That is, I would like to have access to this overall gold score when I'm playing solo queue. You know, it's that same gold score you look at when you're watching a professional match of League of Legends to determine who's winning or losing. I think we should have that in our everyday games. When we spectate a professional match of League of Legends, most of us have a very clear understanding of where the game is at. Despite one team here being up in kills, towers, CS in a certain position, most of us understand that this game is pretty close and that team might even be losing. I wish that it was possible for us to have the same kind of understanding in solo queue. Currently in solo queue, the only way to know if you're truly winning or losing is to stop and do some elongated math problem where I evaluate my team's creep score versus their team's creep score, my team's kills versus their team's kills, our towers versus their towers, and even then, most of the time I'm going to be somewhat off. There's going to be so many times where I fail to account for first blood gold, first tower gold, or some other objective gold that I'm miscalculating on the spot, and these are all going to throw off my perception of where I'm at in the game. And in my experience, this is unnecessary frustration and confusion that I think could easily be avoided with very little consequence. And I think the extent of this confusion is responsible for one of the biggest problems that we experience in the average solo queue game. One of the most frustrating experiences that you will have while playing League of Legends is this constant debate you will find yourself in with your teammates on whether or not it's time to forfeit a game. And no matter where you fall in this argument, you're guaranteed to have a bad time. Being cheated out of what you think is such a winnable game because your team doesn't understand how strong you are is so frustrating, but at the same time, being forced to play a game, being held hostage to play a game that you know is a waste of your time just feels so suffocating. And this argument is incredibly painful to be a part of because both sides are dealing with incomplete information. Neither side of the argument has enough information to definitively know where they're at in the game. And the most frustrating part about this issue is that it can happen between two reasonable actors. One player can have a very solid set of reasons for wanting to play a game out and thinking it's still winnable, while conversely, another player having a very solid set of reasons for thinking that it's not. And the problem is that both players are dealing with incomplete information, and neither one of them knows 100% if they're right or wrong. And alternatively, I think if we did give players enough information to clearly understand where they're at in the game, I think reasonable players could very easily reach conclusions on whether or not a game is worth playing out or surrendering, and this whole experience could be improved upon. And that's why I think it's so worth it to give us a total gold score when we're playing solo queue. It already makes watching professional matches so much more enjoyable, and I think it could make playing solo queue games even more enjoyable as well. Now, some players may feel like it takes a certain amount of skill to properly evaluate where you are in the game. And they might think that we're diminishing that skill set by making all of this information readily available, and making it less skillful to even play the game. And to those players, I would say that's a solid enough argument. However, I would argue that League of Legends has already been moving in this direction for a very long time. In the past, you've had to time your own buff spawns, you've had to time Dragon and Baron respawn, you've even had to speculate on these respawn timers if you didn't see the exact moment when the other team did it. This is all information that you just have access to in today's game for free anyways. Now I no longer have to keep 6-minute timers on all 4 buffs. I never have to speculate when Dragon or Baron are going to respawn. I can even get a pretty good idea of when most jungle camps are going to respawn because I get a little icon refresh. I mean, this is all information that is already provided to me without giving us a global gold count. And admittedly, I was against a lot of these changes when they were being done. However, now that they've come, I think a lot of the consequences that would have originally come with giving teams access to an overall gold score have already been done, and I don't even think they were as bad as I was expecting. Teams on both sides already always know when their buffs are going to respawn. We always know when Dragon and Baron are up and when they're going to respawn. We even have a pretty good idea of when enemy camps are going to come up as we get refresh timers of them now, and even of their buffs. This is information that we've already had access to for a long time, and I don't think that giving us access to a global gold score is going to tell us anything that we don't already know. And just to clarify, the reason I'm bringing up these changes in the past to the jungle and timers is just to show that Riot has already moved the game in this direction. We already have all of this additional access to information, and I think giving us a global gold score is just one last step that would bring in a ton of additional clarity with very little additional consequence. Meanwhile, I think the benefits of having access to an overall gold score are pretty clear. I think it just gives you additional clarity to where you're at in the game. I think it's information you want to have when you're ahead. I think it's information that you want to have when you're behind. I think it just improves the overall experience of playing the game. So, thanks for listening. In this video, I was just kind of experimenting with some free software to see if I would enjoy making videos, and I made this on what is a literal potato, so I'm sorry for the terrible audio quality. But if somehow you did make it this far, thanks for watching, and if you're a League player, enjoy grinding solo queue, buddy.